A little bit of a shorter podcast today. Today, we're going to be getting into some ideas for you to have adventures if you are living in Colorado or Wyoming. So these are things that either I've done or I'm starting to plan to do. And so, yeah, I'll kind of give you a little bit of a lowdown on each thing here. I think we have about 8 or 9 of them. So if you're looking for things to do and you live in Colorado and Wyoming, or if you're going to visit this year, these might be some things. So let's talk about them. So number one would be to run or backpack the Teton Crest Trail. Now, the Teton Crest Trail is about a 40 some mile trail. By the way, I'm going off the hip with all of these. I don't have any notes. I just have what they're called, and what all I have is what they're called. So the Teton Crest Trail is about a 40-ish mile trail that goes through the Grand Tetons in Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. Now, this is a super beautiful trail, and what we're planning on doing this year, we were trying to do it last year, but we didn't, is going to run this thing. Now, but a lot of people also backpack it. And if you're somebody that really wants to enjoy that area, and if you're someone that has a lot of days there, that's what I would probably recommend doing. For people that want maybe a big challenge, try running it in a day. The one problem with this trail is that it's basically an out and back trail. So or not an out and back, a point to point trail, which means you have to start here, you end here, then you have to get back to here, which is where your car is. What we're planning on doing for our run is stashing bikes at the ending location and then riding bikes all the way back to the end. So I think it's about 13 miles or something like that. So if you're running it, that's an option that you can do. Now, number 2 would be hike 2 14ers in a day. So you can combo a bunch of 14ers here in Colorado, which 14ers are 14,000 foot peaks. So you could do, starting with really easy ones, Bierstadt and Evans, and you can also do Grays and Torreys. Now, they have a couple ridges between both of these. Depending on your comfort level, you could do either one, but I would recommend making sure that you are comfortable with class 3, class 4 climbing. Between Grays and Torreys, there's a place called Kelso Ridge, which is a super fun scramble. And then between Bierstadt and Evans, there is the Sawtooth Ridge. I think the Sawtooth is probably a little bit easier, but both of them super pretty, super awesome. Doing 14ers is great when you're here in Colorado. Number 3 would be to through hike the Colorado Trail. Obviously, I did this back in 2021. This is going to be a few week endeavor for people, but you could also do something called the Collegiate Loop on there as well. And the Collegiate Loop is shorter than the Colorado Trail, and you're going to be doing some sections of the Colorado Trail through that. So that would be really cool too. Next would be to rock climb at Vita. Now, Vita is in Wyoming, and it's kind of a lesser known place, but super popular for what's called off-width or trad climbing people. There is some sport routes there, and I'm not going to give away where I go sport climbing around Vita because it's super chill. I love it, and there's not a lot of people there. But if you want to do off-width trad climbing, Vita is great. There is some sport routes in Vita as well, but absolutely beautiful place. You can also do a lot of scrambling on what's called Turtle Rock. I've created kind of a little route around that, which is super fun. So just take some approach shoes and do that. Next is to run or hike the Camp Rawa and Twin Crater Lakes Loop. This is in the Rawa Wilderness in Colorado, super close to where I live in Laramie. This is a 25, 26 mile route and super pretty, especially when you get up into the Alpine Lakes area up there, and definitely could backpack this one as well. Next is to climb Gannett Peak. We're planning on this for this year, which Gannett Peak is the highest peak in Wyoming. This is over outside of Du Bois, and this requires a big commitment. You're probably going to have to do at least 1 or 2 nights in there. And then it's also kind of technical climbing for what I hear in terms of glacier travel across the glacier and then a nice scramble up to the top. And what makes this one very tough is because it's a long approach in and it's very slow approach in because you're going over a lot of talus, a lot of rocks, things like that. Wanted to pop in here quick to tell you guys about something that you are going to absolutely love. So for a limited time, I'm actually offering my free outdoor goals Notion template. I'm actually selling this on Etsy for $8, but I'm offering it free for everybody that's listening to the podcast right now for a limited time. I'm not sure when I'm going to be taking this down. What this is storing all of your information, like your flights, the dates that you're going to go, your calendar, your beta for the adventure, the partners you're going with. It assembles everything all in one area. There's no more fumbling around with trying to cross-reference notes that you copy and pasted off of a blog on your Word document, but then you also have flights on your phone. It's all going to be in one place. What I like to do with it, I like to create all my goals ahead of time, block out all those dates. I know when I'm going to be going. I know what the goal is. It's templated, so you have all the things that you need to fill out, like permits and everything, in the actual database. So no worrying about having to recreate everything. And here's actually a quick email that I just received randomly from a person that actually picked it up. He said, "Your info has been the most helpful out of all of the hikers on various platforms that I follow. Specifically, your outdoor goals Notion template has been great, not just for planning purposes, but for motivation, as I can see my next year's adventures in a snapshot. I now use Notion for organizing pretty much everything in my life, including work." So that's what we're trying to do for you guys. We're trying to help you out. And so, again, I'm offering this free outdoor goals planning list template for free for a limited time. Grab it now in the show notes below. Back to the episode. Next is to climb the Grand Teton. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can climb the Grand Teton. The most common way is the Owen Spalding route, which a lot of people don't bring ropes or gear with that, but there has been a lot of deaths from that. People also trail run that. So that's one route to do it. We did the full XM route, which is a total rock climbing route of that. And so that took us 18 hours last year. That was a big, big day. But the Grand Teton's awesome. You can also do the Middle Teton, Lower Teton, stuff like those. Then you have climbing Medicine Bow Peak, which is in outside or in the Snowy Range, which is kind of outside of Laramie. This is a great, easier beginner mountain for people to climb. Very rocky on the way up, but about 12,000 or so feet. So if you're trying to get used to elevation and altitude, this is a good one before you do Colorado 14ers. We highly recommend. Great views up there too. Then the last one is to bike pack the Red Feather Ramble. So if you're into bike packing, which if you're a backpacker, I would encourage you to explore it, because bike packing is really cool, because you can get to a lot of and see a lot of cool stuff in a short amount of time. I actually think a bike is the best way to explore the world, because it's not too fast, but it's not too slow. It's not as fast as a car, but it's not as slow as hiking. So the Red Feathered Ramble is like 150 miles or something out of Fort Collins. And yeah, just something that would be super fun for people to do if they're looking for something other than backpacking to do in the summer. So I hope you guys wrote that list down. If that's something that interests you, research more beta on it. There's tons of sites that talk about each one. And if you learned something, please go ahead, give me a 5-star rating on the Spotify app and shoot that subscribe on YouTube. We'll see you guys for part 2, which will go into the Pacific Northwest, which would be Oregon and Washington.